right, welcome back to Jay's Retro Toys and Games. It's Monday, April 18, 2022, episode 11 coming at you. I'm your host and moderator, Jason DeCanio. Hope you had a great Easter weekend. Well, today's game, which we're looking at, is a board game originally made by Parker Brothers, now a subsidiary of Hasbro. In 1975, it was invented by Paul J. Gruen of West Newbury, Massachusetts, and one of the era's top board game designers, and his brother-in-law Charles C. Bailey. It was Gruen's most successful game, outselling Monopoly in its first production year, and this game is currently marketed by Winning Moves Games USA. It simulates money management, with the game board resembling a calendar month. And before the game, the players decide how many months to be played, and during the game, players accumulate bills and expenses to pay along with their collecting their monthly wage on the game of the title at the end of the month. The winner is the player who has the most money at the end of the last month. What game am I talking about? We're looking at Payday today on Jay's Retro Toys and Games. All right, welcome everybody to the show, and I mean everybody out there who's watching on or listening on it on YouTube and Anchor and Spotify. Episode 11 is right here on the day after Easter Sunday. It's also tax day as well, so if you're getting your taxes in, please, hopefully you're going to get a lot of money back. Speaking of money, this is one of those games that has taxes involved in it. Yep. So here are the rules to this game that was originally made in 1975. The object is to be the player who has the most cash and savings at the end of the game. Players decide in advance how many in-game months will be played. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people do like 1 month, 2 months, up to 3 months or 4. It doesn't matter how many months, just as long as you follow that. And the game is played under the 1975 era rules with the game board, 1 die, 4 playing pieces, play money, 16 deal cards, 72 mail cards. Older versions also included a savings and loan calendar and 12-inch savings and loans pegs. Later editions replaced the calculator and pegs with a savings and loan pad plus a table to calculate savings and loan interest. Now, each player starts with $325. One player is selected to go first. Players roll the die and advance their playing piece from 1 to 6 spaces as indicated on the die. The player follows the instructions shown on the calendar space on the game board. There are 31 days in a payday month. Now, if a player lands on either a deal or a mail space, they will then select the appropriate card from the top of the specified deck. Now, deal cards, the player has the option of purchasing the deal for the cost indicated immediately or returning the card to the bottom of the deck. One may take out a loan to pay for the deal, and the deal is held until the player lands on a buyer space at any time during the duration of the game. A deal card has no value if it remains unsold at the end of the game. Whenever a deal is purchased, all players have an opportunity to win the commission indicated on the deal card. Each player in turn rolls the die, with the highest roller collecting the commission from the bank. Now, mail cards have varying content, just like real mail. Some mail cards are bills, some are fortuitous collections, and some are just entertaining, postcards and advertisements. Bills are due at the end of the month unless canceled by insurance. You see that below. While collections, except for lottery tickets, are payable immediately. Postcards and junk mail are immediately discarded. 3 types of mail cards are special mail cards which have unique rules, like the lottery ticket. The player gets a lottery ticket in the mail. The player can cash in the value of the ticket only if that player lands on the lottery draw space during the month they receive it in the mail. At the end of the month, if it is not redeemed, it becomes void and must be returned to the bottom of the mail pile. Now, you've got swell fare. If a player's loan plus loan interest due plus bills are greater than the total amount of cash, they are in debt. Then the player may bet up to $100, and then if the player rolls a 5 or a 6, they collect 10 times the amount of the bet. Otherwise, the amount goes into the pot. Swell fare cards not used are immediately discarded. Then you have insurance, and if a player receives a mailing for either an auto insurance, which is car insurance company, that's CARR, or health insurance put out by Aches and Pains Insurance Company, the player may purchase insurance at their option. If purchased, the insurance is good for the entire game and will automatically cancel any related bills, including those already held by the player. Insurance cards not used are immediately discarded. Now we go to daylight savings. Now, each player in turn, starting with the player who landed there, moves their token back one space and follows the instructions as in a regular turn. Now, if a player's game piece is on the start space, when another player lands on daylight savings, they simply collect another $325 and leave the game piece on start. The daylight savings process takes place only once on any turn and should not be repeated if a player lands there as a result of another player having landed there first. Town election. Well, all players must contribute to the town election. That's 50 per person. If a player does not have the cash, they must withdraw from their savings or take out or increase a loan. The next player to roll a 6 during the course of the game wins the pot, including any swell fare money that may already been in there. Poker game. Each player has the option of placing $100 on the board. All poker game participants roll the die. The highest roller collects all of the money. And if you're a buyer, if a player holding a deal card lands on a buyer space, they may return it to the bottom of the deal deck and collect the indicated sale price from the bank. Only one deal card may be redeemed per turn. Savings and loans. Well, a player may have either a savings account or a loan, but never both at the same time. In your savings, player may start or add to their savings only on payday. Players may withdraw all or part of their savings only on payday. If the player wishes to withdraw at another time, they must pay a $50 fee. A player receives 10% interest on the balance in his or her savings account every time he lands on payday. For easy calculation of interest on savings or loans, refer to the interest table. Now, a loan may be taken out or increased at any time in $100 increments. A player must pay 20% interest on his or her outstanding loan balance every time they land on payday. Loans may only be paid off on payday. Then, on the original editions included a savings and loan calendar, pegboard, and 12-inch savings and loan pegs. When a player opened an account, a peg was then added in the appropriate S or L section of the player's calculator to show the amount of money which was held or lent by the bank. This system was later replaced with a savings and loan pad to actually handwrite the amounts in the savings and loan accounts. Plus, there was a printed table to help calculate savings and loan interest. And Sweet Sunday. Yep, as the name indicates, Sweet Sunday spaces have neither an award nor a penalty, just a space to rest. Now, payday. A player who reaches the space immediately stops regardless of any additional counts on the dice and goes through these steps in the indicated order. They collect their monthly wages of $325, except on the last month of play, collecting 10% interest on any savings account, or they have to pay 20% interest on any outstanding loan balance to the bank. Pay all bills received during the month and place them in the discarded mail stack. If a player does not have enough cash to pay the bills, they must either withdraw money from their savings account or take out or increase the loan. Optional. You pay part or all of the outstanding loan, withdraw the money from the savings account without penalty, or deposit money into the account. These transactions may only be done when $100 increments. Discard any unused lottery tickets, discard any deal cards still held, last month of play only, and move the game piece back to the start space unless the player has just completed their last month of play. The player who finishes the game with the most money, cash plus savings or cash minus loans, after all players clearing the set number of months before the play starts, is the winner. If all players are in the negative, that's all having loans exceeding their cash, then whoever is the least in the negative wins. Now here are some changes to the 1994 edition. That includes the maximum number of players was increased to 6, as well as the number of players' tokens. The game now has 24 deal cards, 48 mail cards. Savings accounts were removed from the game. Players can only open loans. Players began the game with $3,500 and received this amount at the end of each month. Loan increments was also increased from $100 to $1,000. The other dollar amounts were also multiplied by 10. However, the loan interest per month was decreased from 20% to 10%. The pot was renamed to Jackpot. The lottery ticket mail card and the lottery draw was replaced with new lottery rules. And once a player lands on the lottery space, a lottery begins. Now, the bank first antes up $1,000, then each player may optionally ante an additional $100 to the pot. Then, starting with the player who landed on the space, each player who anteed in turn picks a different number from 1 to 6. The player who landed on the lottery space rolls the die, and the player whose number is rolled collects all the money. Additional special board spaces are Super Ski Sunday, Charity Concert, Food for the Month, and Shopping Spree. The player must put the amount shown into the jackpot. Sweepstakes. The player who lands on this space receives $5,000 from the bank. Then you have the radio phone-in contest. Each player starting with the one who lands on this space rolls a die, and the first one to roll a 3 receives $1,000 from the bank. Then you got your happy birthday. The player who lands on this space gets $100 from every other player. You got the yard sale. At the start of a game, a deal card is placed face down under the edge of the board next to this space, indicating the deal being sold at the yard sale. The player who lands on this space then pays the bank 100 times the number rolled and takes the deal card under the edge of the board. A new deal card is then placed face down to indicate the deal at the next yard sale. You also have the Walk for Charity, where all players except the player who landed on the space roll the die and put $100 times the number rolled into the jackpot. Then you have special mail cards, which is Pay a Neighbor, where the player chooses an opponent to pay the amount shown on the card, even if predetermined month of the player is retired. Mad Money, which is the player choosing an opponent to collect from the amount shown on the card. And Charity, the player must put the amount of money shown on the card into the jackpot. And there you have it. A plain and simple game with some updated rules for 1994 and on, going to celebrate its 50th anniversary in 3 more years. Payday. Wonderful. Great stuff. I wanted to add a little note there that this game can be modified to Sale of the Century rules, if you ever noticed. I did that one time. I modified this game to work like Sale of the Century. Played a whole month, and when we got to the end, the player with the most prizes won and went on to pick a prize with the winner's board. Did it that way. Kind of worked out, a little bit of tweak. You really got to know how to tweak a game into a game show, and any game can be a game show at any moment at any given time. I think that's pretty good. Well, that's for sure. Next time on the program, we go back and look at a toy. A toy so fun that you never get tired of it. And when we were kids growing up, we thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And they've been on the market since 1949. And when you were a kid, you probably started with the cousin to this particular toy called the Duplo. You know where I'm going with it. We'll look at the Lego. Yes, Lego bricks. That's going to be the toy next time on Jay's Retro Toys and Games. Have yourself a great day. We'll see you Wednesday for episode number 12. Remember, be honest, be real, and keep it simple, stupid. Kiss. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Don't forget to subscribe to the David3000 Network for great more content like this one.